Rodrigo sends out Meloetta. The opponent switches out into Yveltal. The opponent might think this is a good matchup for him. However, they're very quickly about to find out that it is not. Welcome back to the channel. At the time that I'm recording this, the new season is only a matter of hours away. YouTube is littered with information videos about the new move updates and what the meta could look like. However, if you just want to watch some battles while you're eagerly waiting for that new season to drop, don't worry, I've got you. Courtesy of my mate Rodrigo. He is showcasing a level 49 Meloetta and a double legacy Rayquaza. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Rayquaza into Ho-Oh, a great lead. The opponent stays in. They're likely to go for their Brave Bird and dip. Rodrigo takes the extra. Rayquaza, one of the classiest Pokemon in the Master League, so Rodrigo forced to commit a Protect Shield on the Brave Bird. However, the opponent continues to stay in, so we're likely to force a shield back with the Breaking Swipe. The opponent does commit that shield and send out Xerneas. Does the opponent know about that Dragon Ascent coverage? Because my god, if they don't know, they're about to find out. They show no respect. Near get one-shot Meloetta snipes with 2 quick attacks. The opponent sends out Ho-Oh. Meloetta definitely usually doesn't run Thunderbolt, so the opponent probably not expecting the bolt. Ho-Oh gets returned to their Pokeball and Giratina concedes the match. Wow, we're off to a very impressive 1-0 start. We have a little bit of deja vu in battle number 2, as we also see a Ho-Oh in the lead. This Ho-Oh not wanting to play it out against Rayquaza, so the opponent says switch into Zacian, and we answer with Melmetal. Zacian strikes first with the Wild Charge. The opponent at the back-to-back Rodrigo shields the second. The opponent has now lowered their own defense by 4 stages. This Rock Slide is going to do a lot of damage, but not enough to knock out. Rodrigo needs to throw. No, Rodrigo. He gets too greedy. The opponent already at the next Wild Charge. Rodrigo's now gone down 2 shields, and we're still not going to have to Thundershock Zacian down. We fire off the next Rock Slide. The opponent takes their 2-0 shield advantage. We pivot out into Rayquaza. The opponent's got Xerneas in the back, and I think this is just going to be check and mate. The opponent outpaces us to the Moonblast. Meloetta is pretty good, but I don't think it's going to beat the opponent with 2 Protect Shields remaining. Rodrigo evidently agrees, and he concedes the match. Yet another Ho-Oh lead. Come on, who put out the Ho-Oh video? Henry, I'm blaming you, buddy. Rodrigo stays in, looks to CMP tie Ho-Oh. The opponent doesn't fall for any of that nonsense. They take the extra. Rodrigo has now lowered Ho-Oh's attack, so he does tank their Brave Bird, but my god, not particularly well. The opponent then looked to snipe with their own Rayquaza, and Rodrigo sends out the Tin Can. Rayquaza is one of them super annoying Pokemon. It's like a Mantine in the Great League. It's just going to be spamming out debuff after debuff, so despite this being an unfavourable matchup for Rayquaza, the opponent can make this quite close if they're willing to invest Protect Shields. However, the opponent isn't willing to invest any shields. They just sack their Rayquaza. Back out comes Ho-Oh. The opponent looking to throw energy. Rodrigo shields up the Sacred Fire. We then throw 2 Thunder Shocks and the Rock Slide for optimal fast move timing. Rock Slide number 1 forces the Protect Shield. Rodrigo looking to overfarm as much as possible. He's looking to get towards the back-to-back Rock Slides. The next Rock Slide draws the final Protect Shield. Can Melmetal get there? He cannot. Rodrigo sends out Meloetta. The opponent pivot out into Yveltal. Yveltal might think it's in a favourable matchup here. However, it's quickly going to find out it is not. Dazzling Gleam near one-shots the streaky Bacon Bird. We snipe with a Dragon Tail. Back out comes Ho-Oh, and Rayquaza is going to be able to clean up. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Rayquaza into Landorus. The Mud Shots are resisted, but the Stone Edge going to do a lot of damage. Rodrigo opts to throw good fast move timing, allowing Landorus to outpace by a single turn to the Stone Edge. The opponent, like an absolute savage, bait us with the superpower to save some energy, then pivot out into basic bitch Dialga. However, Rodrigo, undeterred, fires off back-to-back Breaking Swipes, lowering Dialga's attack by 2 stages, then pivots out into Melmetal. Melmetal by far the superior Tin Can in this battle, as we do resist all moves from Dialga unless they're on Thunder. The opponent full sends the Draco, and 2-stage debuff that did absolutely nothing. Rodrigo overfarms, fires off the Rock Slide. Rock Slide is resisted but is enough to secure the knockout. I like that play, to be honest, as he didn't lower his own attack. Back out comes Landorus. We fire off the Rock Slide. Landorus gonna need to throw. The opponent throws on the CMP tie. Great counting from the opponent. Superpower going to be secure in the knockout. Rodrigo sends back out Rayquaza. The opponent pivot out into Yveltal, and Yveltal is about to get the very annoying debuff treatment. Breaking Swipe draws the first Protect Shield. Rodrigo still has one Protect Shield remaining himself. He's opting to use it here, and he's going to debuff Yveltal the second time. This streaky Bacon Bird is now going to have to contend with a 2-stage lowered attack. The second Breaking Swipe forces the final protection with Pivot Out into Meloetta. Meloetta is going to be weak to Dark due to our normal Psychic typing, however the opponent throws the Oblivion Wing, so perhaps we're on Oblivion Wing Focus Blast. Either way, this game is over. We fire off the Thunderbolt, securing the knockout. Back out comes Landorus, and Meloetta quick attack farms down and takes that game. In the next battle, we see the Rayquaza mirror. Rodrigo will be losing CMP as his Pokemon are only level 49. Rodrigo opts to take the extra. With that in mind, he shields up the Breaking Swipe. The opponent then pivot out into Metagross. We've got no immediate response, so Rodrigo opts to fire off the debuff, then sends out Meloetta. Meloetta's recommended moveset is Psyshock and Dazzling Gleam. However, we can actually hit Metagross for neutral with the Thunderbolt. Even after a 1-stage debuff, that Meteor Mash hit for a lot of neutral damage. Rodrigo farms up, fires off the Thunderbolt, and my gosh, was that some underwhelming damage. Rodrigo already down one Protect Shield, opting not to invest his last Protect Shield on Meloetta. He just sacrifices it to the Pokegods and sends out Melmetal. Melmetal over farms, fires off the Rock Slide before Metagross is able to reach the Earthquake. The opponent let it go, opting to save 2 shields for their backline. Out comes Zacian. I think this game's just over. Rodrigo gonna need to pull off some absolute wizardry here. We fire off the Rock Slide. The opponent shows no respect. We look to catch a move on Rayquaza. No such luck. The opponent snipe us with their own Rayquaza. Rodrigo now very much hoping the opponent has a heart attack or dies mid-battle, as that is essentially his only win con. He shields up the first close combat. The second close combat rocks us deep into the red. Rodrigo now going for a cheeky masturbating session, but no masturbating at this stage will save you, buddy. The opponent reaches the next close combat, and the opponent is going to pick up the dub. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see the battle of the Dragon types. Dragonite versus Rayquaza. Rodrigo looks to throw the Breaking Swipe. However, using a clunky 3-turn move, the opponent makes a very easy catch onto Metagross. This time, we opt to send out Melmetal. Melmetal not going to appreciate the Earthquake, despite it being debuffed. However, Rodrigo knows he does survive one, but it still gets us fairly low. We're already approaching the red. Rodrigo farms up as much energy as possible. Is going to start unleashing superpowers. The first one lands. Rodrigo then fires off superpower number 2. This won't quite be lethal, but the opponent does invest that Protect Shield. The opponent then throw the Meteor Mash on the CMP type. Rodrigo opting to make a play at taking switch. After a 2-stage debuff, I don't think superpower will be lethal. However, the opponent actually opts to invest their final Protect Shield, then see the pivot into Rayquaza. Rayquaza going to be shielding once, looking to get the resisted Dragon Tail farm down. Back out comes Dragonite. The opponent snipe us in the middle of our Dragon Tail animation. Brutal for Rodrigo, but a very nice play from the opponent. We send back out Melmetal. Melmetal gets farmed down. It's now Meloetta versus the world, 1v3. Surely Meloetta can't pull this off. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw. Meloetta already approaching half health. Rodrigo opting to go for the full quick attack farm down, but Dragonite's already got us into the red. Rodrigo finally gets the quick attack farm down. We've got minimal HP. Back out comes Metagross. Rodrigo forced to throw. Thunderbolt will be lethal. What the heck can we one-shot in the back? Show me something we can one-shot. The opponent's got Melmetal, and unfortunately, we're going to take a loss. GG's to that opponent. Moving on to the next battle. We see Rayquaza into Purified Mewtwo. Rodrigo, don't lose to a Purified Pokemon. Rodrigo farms up, fires off the Breaking Swipe. Mewtwo allows us to throw first, which is very nice, as we do now force a debuff. Rodrigo then pivots out into Meloetta, and the opponent answers with Xerneas. The Geomancy animation is absolutely ridiculous. It looks like I'm in a fucking rave when I'm really just shoutcasting in my living room. However, getting back into the commentary, we tank the Moonblast, fire off the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt lands for decent damage. Rodrigo now farms up, fires off Thunderbolt number 2. This Thunderbolt will be lethal. The opponent lose switch advantage. They now send out Dialga. Can we reach the Dazzling Gleam? Meloetta on a sliver of HP reaches the neutral Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam lands for heavy neutral damage, getting this tin can down below half health. We send out Rayquaza. The opponent looks to snipe with a Side Strike, but Rodrigo shows cat-like reactions. catching the side strike onto Melmetal. The opponent now at a Shadow Ball, Rodrigo not willing to shield. He knows he does survive and the opponent's going to be unable to Psycho Cut, farm us down. Melmetal now returns fire with the Rock Slide Mewtwo, invest that first Protect Shield. Rodrigo can now easily save 2 shields for his Rayquaza, the resisted side strike. Takes us out, in comes Rayquaza. We get the Dragon Tail farm down, back out comes Dialga, which will be hitting us for super effective with the Dragon Breath. However, we're already going to be able to debuff them with the first Break-In Swipe. Rodrigo can easily shield this move up, and we're going to be able to Dragon Tail, farm down, and take that game. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, Xation once again. A Pokemon's been giving Rodrigo some real problems throughout this showcase. We pivot out into Melmetal. Rodrigo looks to try and CMP tie the opponent. However, the opponent continuing to farm up 1 bazillion energy. Rodrigo this time does get the CMP. So when you're in this matchup, you always want to try and CMP Xation, because you lose CMP. So if they lower their own defense with a close combat, when you throw your Rock Slide, it is going to do more damage. It's also important to CMP because it's a charge move priority event. The opponent's going to be unable to make a catch. Speaking of catching, the opponent may get a very nice catch for the next Rock Slide onto Dialga. Very nice countering from the opponent. That is exactly what you'd expect though, because these battles are played around 3000 elo. However, Rodrigo, undeterred, makes the superpower, forcing the final Protect Shield, then pivots out into Rayquaza. We see Rodrigo deploy his final Protect Shield on the Iron Head. He's then going to overfarm by 1 Dragon Tail, fire off the Break-In Swipe. Break-In Swipe won't be lethal, but we should be able to Dragon Tail, farm down just about. We're on a sliver of HP. The opponent likely to return with Xation. Do we have enough HP to make the Dragon Ascent? Probably not. Rodrigo just opts to throw the Break-In Swipe. Break-In Swipe does absolutely nothing. The opponent then get the full Quick Attack farm down. We send out Melmetal. The opponent then give up switch, sending out the streaky Bacon Bird. It's a Dark type versus our Psychic type, but we're in the 0 shield. The opponent fires off the Dark Pulse. That isn't enough to secure the knockout. Rodrigo now overfarms as much as physically possible. Full sends the Dazzling Gleam. The streaky Bacon Bird gets absolutely wrecked. Back out comes Xation. Xation probably pretty close to the back-to-back moves. The first close combat takes us out, and the opponent's actually already at the back-to-back, and they're going to take a very nice dub. Some very nice energy management from that opponent. Moving on to the next one. Rayquaza into the basic bitch tin can Dialga. Rodrigo strikes first with the Break-In Swipe. The opponent shows no respect, and despite the opponent only throwing quick moves and us landing a charge move, we're actually pretty even in HP. Rodrigo shields up the Iron Head. The opponent then send out Mewtwo. We bank the Break-In Swipe and pivot out into Meloetta. Due to our normal Psychic typing, if this is a double Legacy Mewtwo, which it looks like it is, we actually resist the entirety of the moveset. The opponent throws the first side strike. Meloetta shrugs it off. They throw the second. Meloetta still standing strong. Returns fire with the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt forces a Protect Shield. The next side strike will be lethal. The opponent throws on the CMP type, but Rodrigo opts to shield the side strike. He's going to return fire with the Thunderbolt. Is the opponent willing to invest a final Protect Shield here? No, they're not. They're going to take shield advantage for their backline. Back out comes Dialga. We see the pivot into Rayquaza. Throw the Break-In Swipe. Break-In Swipe goes unshielded. The opponent opting to save their final shield for Lugia. Speaking of Lugia, it's going to be a victim of the Sky Attack nerf next season. So will it be less prevalent in the Master League? We'll have to wait and see. Melmetal down a shield, but pretty dominant in this matchup. Even the really hard-hitting Aero Blast doesn't do too much damage. Rodrigo going to start spamming out Rock Slide after Rock Slide. Lugia is such a ridiculous stat product. The opponent still doesn't need to shield up this next Rock Slide. That is going to mean Rodrigo still needs to make a further 2 Rock Slides. 1 to force the final shield and 1 to secure the knockout. The opponent finally invests that final protection. Then stay in school, kids. Learn to count. Rodrigo makes a savage catch, catching the potential Aeroblast onto Meloetta. The opponent actually threw the Sky Attack, hoping it would knock out. It probably wouldn't, and we managed to take that game. Very nicely done. So huge shout out to Rodrigo, showing Meloetta in the Open Master League. It's ranked like 6th or 7th on PV Poke, which is really high. Is it as good as that? I'm unsure. I think it's got some pretty niche players. Really good against stuff like Double Legacy Mewtwo. I think Rayquaza is an absolute monster now, and it probably should be, as Niantic have buffed it time and time again. it's great to see a fan favourite get some play. So the next video you're going to see from me is going to feature one of the newly buffed Pokemon from the new season. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. I'm actually off work for a few days when the new season drops. I'm going to look to get out 2 videos a day. So if you like your battles featured, fill out the form down below and I'll look to get that done. So I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.